Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tampa, Stinson, all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. The Dennis, Dylan, and NW.
Welcome to the Run TMC podcast. That is the Run the Marin County podcast, a podcast about basketball based right here in gorgeous Marin County, California. The Run TMC podcast is brought to you by The Hub and the Social Club, as well as Encore Custom. I'm Duffy Ballard, and today is January 19th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Dave. And I'd like to pause and give you one of my very favorite, actually my favorite Martin Luther King Jr. quote, which is, you probably have heard this, Dave: "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." And recently, that bend maybe has gotten a little crooked and needs to straighten out and then start bending in the right direction. But Dave, that is topic for another podcast. We are going to take some refuge from the events of the world and our country by talking about the sport of basketball, because that's how we handle things, and it usually works out quite well. So this is season 3, episode 12 of the Run TMC podcast, and we are back at the Hub for an interview that we conducted just yesterday, another roundtable with 3 of the top programs. Well, they're all top programs, Dave, but 3 of our top coaches, and they're all top coaches in MCAL. And I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce this roundtable, which was lively and informative. And I'll give a few thoughts before we roll into it. And we'll also hear from our sponsors. But now, over to Big Brain Dave.
Thank you, Duffy. Beautiful quote from MLK. It's a good day of reflection. So this is a first. This is my voice memo back to you, but I'm looking at you. We're together right now.
I jumped right into your voice memo, Dave.
It's a little creepy.
Hello.
We're sitting outside Marin Catholic's gym. We were planning on getting this episode out today, and we realized that, hey, you guys had practice. I was in the neighborhood. So here we are. Good to see you, Duff. Again, I'd like to reiterate my New Year's resolution. My New Year's podcast resolution is to reduce the use of the word really. Okay? So if I say the word really, I want you to, give me a obscene hand gesture, maybe verbally slap me. But we're going to introduce this fantastic roundtable, or what is this, our 5th roundtable, 3rd coaches roundtable. We've done 2 player roundtables.
Yep. We're going to do an officials roundtable, Dave, don't you think? That'll be fun.
We
Daryl and Mike Saya.
Absolutely. We want to do an officials one. I would like to do an athletic director roundtable. There are a lot of different options.
Boring.
How do you schedule gym time? No.
Really boring, dude.
No, athletic directors have a fascinating, wonderful job,
Okay.
and we love them all. But this roundtable was a ton of fun. 3 very experienced, interesting, and different coaches, different coaching styles, equally effective, all great guys, really thoughtful. Oh, I said the word really, damn it. Extremely thoughtful, and 3 teams that are very fun to watch. So I've been loving going to MCAL games, both boys and girls. One hopeful conclusion for our listeners is we got a couple weeks of the season left before we get into playoffs. On a Tuesday night or Friday night, check the IJ, check Max Preps, go watch a local game. Even if you don't know any of the kids playing, it's just fantastic basketball these days in Marin. But we had 3 awesome coaches. We'll get to that in a second. But before we introduce the roundtable, Duffy, you have a glossary term.
I do. I didn't make this one up. I stole it from one of our favorite podcasts. It was either Slapping Glass or the Basketball Podcast. Is one of those 2.
Mm-hmm.
But the notion of a puncture 3.
Okay.
So just another way to emphasize the type of 3-point shot you might want to get. So this is, the whole idea is a paint touch, and then you've punctured the defense, Dave, and then it's kicking out and it's an open 3. And we've talked a lot about paint touches I've emphasized as a coach, paint touches a lot. The paint touch creates a higher percentage outside shot. I think that is fact. So the Puncture 3 is just a great way to visualize what you're doing to the defense and what you're getting out of it.
I really like that. I said the word really again. I like that a lot.
You might be slightly obsessive about this, Dave.
That might
It's okay to let it go. You can be really good even using the word really.
Okay. Thank you so much
Really
for that.
often.
You're like a therapist. I like this concept a lot. We actually we did a drill in practice a couple days ago. The other side of this coin, which was, it was a defensive drill where it was a no paint drill. So 4-on-4 offense, your only goal on offense is just try to get the ball into the paint. And then obviously you want to score. Defense, your job is to wall off the paint and not let them in there.
Yeah.
Because we've been struggling with just point of attack, numbers to numbers defense. But you're absolutely right. An offensive possession where the ball gets into the paint is just going to be more successful for a variety of reasons. And as a shooter, I mean, you made a living on this. There's nothing more satisfying than your teammate penetrates into the paint, draws 2 defenders, kicks it out to you. You're in rhythm. You're ready to go. It's just very satisfying. So Puncture 3, I really like that.
Yeah, it has a different flow to it, right? When it works well, because you can, as a shooter, you can see it developing. You might lift up a little bit from the corner. You might, slide down to the corner a little bit, but it has a rhythm to it and a flow that when it works is just beautiful.
Shot selection is such a critical thing. I actually had a funny example of this, or a good illustrative example, I should say. I went to the Duke Cal game a couple days ago.
As did I, Dave. As
you were there, a lot of people, all the important people were there.
Yeah,
it was cool. Steph was there. Ken Jeong from The Hangover was there. Obviously, Scottie Pippen was there. I went with Coach Ryan Palmer. Shout out Palmer. But the first play of the game, I don't know if you noticed this stuff. Cal, I can't remember. I think his name is Bell. A good player.
22.
Number 22 took a contested fadeaway 3 and he made it. And I turned to Palmer and I said, that's not a good shot.
Yeah, and then he proceeded to take another 3 or 4 of those and missed them all.
And missed all of them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I mean, I love Draymond. Draymond's amazing. But when Draymond hits an early 3, sometimes the risk is he's thinking he's on. And who would you rather have shooting a 3? Would you rather have Steph or Draymond shooting a 3? Obviously, you would rather have Steph. So when 22 took that shot, it was a bad shot. He made it. Then he proceeded to take several more bad shots, which, that's not the reason Cal lost the game. But shot selection is so important, and you want to hammer that home. Whereas if they had gotten a paint touch, a Puncture 3, if you will, kicked out to him in rhythm where he's open, much better shot, even if he misses it.
I think I saw Mad Dog Madsen pull him prematurely a couple times.
Yeah.
And anyway, we won't get too much into Bell's head, but I was not super impressed by his performance.
Yeah, that wasn't great. I got to say, it was fantastically fun to see TT Carr on the floor. TT didn't have his best game against Duke. He was fine. He's played better games, but he absolutely belongs out there, and it's just amazing to think. And by the way, BJ Fisher, also Redwood grad, who walked on and is on the Cal team. There was a moment near the end of the game where both TT and BJ were on the floor for a couple seconds together. Last year at this time, you could have gone down to the Redwood gym on a Tuesday night with about 25 other people and seen those guys play, and now they're playing on national television in front of thousands of people against the number 6 team in the country. And, Carlos Boozer's son, who's going to be probably a lottery pick. Just very cool to see.
Yep. BJ did graduate 2 years ago, Dave, but
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
And he does look fantastic in layup lines. Like, all the Cal guys are windmilling, dunking, and BJ's got this great soft little finishes at the rim.
Playing off too. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for fact checking me again. Okay, Puncture 3. I like the glossary term. That's great. So should we get into the roundtable?
Yeah. So why don't you do a quick intro on our coaches? They kind of give their coaching backgrounds at the beginning of the roundtable.
Sure.
Two of the guests were former guests. Former guests. So you'll have a lot of opportunity to sort of listen up on where they've come from and their interaction with the sport of basketball. And then maybe we'll just give a few preview thoughts.
A few observations
in advance.
Great. So I'll go in order of where people were sitting relative to me, because the world revolves around me. So Mikey Clagett was sitting to my right. Mikey is head coach at Archie Williams, longtime Marin County coach, both at the youth level club, was a Branson assistant for several years, is a great coach, is a great player as well. We've played pickup with Mikey a lot. First year at Archie, just doing a fantastic job. They're, I think 14-4, something like that. They're one of the top teams in the league, winning close games, playing really great games. Obviously, Duffy, your son, plays for Mikey. Awesome to have him. Last time we had him, he was an assistant at Branson, and it was with Jace Butler. Now he's a head coach. So it was fun to get his perspective on that move from being an assistant to being a head coach.
And he came out, he had his Archie gear on. He had his black and green going. And I think, Dave, I hadn't really noticed this before. I think he sounds a little bit like Steph Curry when he's like on the air. Just the intonations of his voice.
I'm gonna look for that the next time I listen. But thank you, Mike, for joining us. Awesome to hear your perspective. Next to Mike was Chris Lavdiotis, Coach Lav. Lav is in his second year at San Marin. He had a nice run at Miramonte before that. He gives his bio. Lav is more of an elder statesman. He's a thought leader. He's a lawyer in his spare time. He's just a really bright, thoughtful guy. Loves the game, has a lot of passion. You watch him coach, and he's very cerebral on the sidelines. He talked a lot in this interview. I loved the concept of player empowerment and wanting to give his players agency to sometimes make their own decisions, make their own play calls. What are you seeing out there?
A captain's practice.
Captain's practice. He keeps coming back to that, and I think it's a great notion and concept. Coach Lav is an awesome guy. I often see him sporting his Run TMC shirt around. He loves what we're doing.
Like he did yesterday.
And it was great to have him on for a second time, and I'm sure we'll have him on for a third time.
And his teams always punch above their weight. He is really good at getting the best out of the talent and personnel that he has.
Absolutely. San Marin is in every game. They're a solid team. They've got some talent. Obviously, you've got San Marin, like Marin Catholic, a very strong football program. So he's always dealing with the issue of some of his best athletes are not necessarily available to him early in the season. We covered that last time we talked to him. We didn't have time to cover that this time. But despite that, they're right in the mix for the playoffs, having a really solid year. And
great win over Terra Linda, and they played MC super close. He talks a little bit about it in the roundtable, but yeah, they were right there against a very good team.
Yep, absolutely. And then finally, we were thrilled to have Demetrius Roquemore, who's the Branson boys head coach. He's in his third year, I believe, at Branson. Demetrius is an awesome guy. I didn't know him before I joined the Branson girls coaching staff, and I've gotten to know Coach D, and he's just a really great human and a awesome coach. I enjoy watching him run practices. I think he's got really solid command of X's and O's, but more than that, he motivates his players. He's just a really good coach. And I think there's this assumption that when you have a lot of talent, you don't necessarily need to coach that hard. That's not the case. Having a lot of talent does not necessarily lead to wins. And Demetrius has done a fantastic job molding the talent that he has into a cohesive group. They've played a murderous schedule. This is another topic that I wanted to get to. We just didn't have time. But their strength of schedule is crazy when you look at the teams that Branson played in the preseason. So their record is, they're well under 500, but it's because they've played, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 of the top teams in the state. And they're very good MCAL team. They had a tough, really close loss to Branson that we talk about.
To Archie.
Oh, sorry, to Archie.
But they beat University the week before.
This is an awesome time of the season. Obviously, they're going to play you guys soon. They're going to play Redwood this week.
This is a big week. They have big matchups this week.
Big matchups, for sure, but can't thank Demetrius enough for joining us. He was awesome.
He was great. Yeah, I hadn't really spent time with him, and he was fantastic. Love his demeanor. Thoughtful. I thought it might get a little spicy with him and with Mikey, because Mikey had been his assistant for the last several years. We kind of were hoping that maybe that dynamic would, there'd be some strain.
Jerry Springer style.
Yeah, but there really wasn't. They seemed to really get along and respect each other deeply.
Well, that says a lot about them. So I actually texted Mikey before. I said, hey, just heads up, we're having Demetrius on. I assume that's cool, or let me know if that's an issue. He said, that's my guy, please. And so they coached together. Mikey obviously left to take this head coaching opportunity at Archie, and Demetrius is happy for him and supportive of him, and it's great. So it was great to hear Demetrius, and also pointed this out in the roundtable, but Demetrius, very successful coach at the girls level, was at Sacred Heart in the city, multiple state titles, multiple Division I players. So, and I asked him this question late in the discussion, which I'll just let you guys listen, but the difference between coaching boys and girls, I thought his answer was great. So
that was a great question. And overall, great set of questions you put into the script, Dave. And my player control is that, I had glanced at them, but I had not fully read all of them. So I did jump the gun.
It's okay.
On a question that I thought I'd come up on my own, but it was on the script and it was supposed to be in crunch time. I asked it a little bit early, but it worked out okay.
It worked out great, Duff. I will forgive you.
Yeah.
Thanks to Mike, Chris, and Demetrius for joining us. This roundtables continue to be, I think, a great way to showcase the just basketball community here, whether it's players or coaches. I've had several people. I was coaching a CYO game yesterday, and I had two people come up to me who I didn't know, say, "Hey, I love the player roundtables. Please do more of the player roundtables. It's so cool to hear those kids." And both these people were, kind of our age-ish. And they said the same thing that you and I have said, which is these kids today are so poised and smart. And like, we think about us in high school. I don't know how we would have handled having a microphone in our face and answering questions from weird old guys. Not well.
So, while we're on the players, Dave, we want to recognize and send our sympathy to the Brewster family and to Evan, who broke his foot in the San Marin game.
Yep.
And I watched the tape, Dave. He played, I believe it was the entire fourth quarter on a broken foot. And he just gutted through it. You could tell he wasn't 100%, but he still made some plays. They had a tough loss, but, he was in there. So we, just feel really bad for the kid and for the team and the family to lose someone like that for what I presume will be the rest of this season, but hopefully he gets healthy and, gets back in the summertime, goes to work, gets that opportunity to play at the next level in 2027?
Yeah, 27. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that. Evan's an awesome kid. He was obviously one on our second player roundtable. Injuries suck.
Yeah.
San Rafael, I saw you guys played San Rafael. San Rafael lost Healy, their center, early in the season. You wonder what might have been for that team. San Rafael's really good, but, losing good players, losing any players to injury just sucks. Yeah. So we feel bad.
Yeah. Jack Herman, I should mention him as well.
Yeah.
Great player for our MC team. Really super highly efficient player on the floor. He shoots the ball well. He drives, finishes super well. Great offensive rebounder. Great kid, great family. He's been battling, shoulder injury, recurrent shoulder injury, and he's going to try and gut it out, but we'll see. But yeah, it's tough at any phase of life, but this is tough to see these high school kids who have kind of a limited window to play high school sports and have to miss time, but it's just a nature of sport.
Yep. Hang in there. Get back, get better, and we're looking forward to seeing Evan and everybody else who's injured play next year. All right. Shall we pass it on to the roundtable? We're going to do sponsors first, Duffy, and then we'll let everybody listen to this fabulous roundtable.
Yeah, and we want to, although you'll hear the hub copy, which is a little dated at this point, but we want to just thank again Jerry and Rebecca for being such gracious sponsors and hosts. We have an episode cooking that is based on some material and some speeches that were given at the Hub last Sunday when we had sort of a basketball appreciation event hosted by Jerry and Rebecca at the Hub. It was a great event. We got to reconnect with some of our favorite basketball people in the county. Eddie Joe made an appearance, and we just can't thank Jerry and Rebecca enough for essentially becoming the podcast studio.
There are shirts hanging around the Hub, Run TMC shirts. Jerry and Rebecca are amazing humans, and they love supporting the community, and we can't thank them enough. I agree. That was an awesome event. Yeah, we'll share some of the speeches. Highlight for me was getting to spend time with Eddie Joe. Just amazing human. But all right, let's get it off to our sponsors and then enjoy the roundtable.
I will. I will really enjoy it, Dave.
You said it. I didn't.
Location.
We are sponsored by Encore Custom. From the field to the gym and everywhere in between, Encore Custom designs high-performance team apparel built for athletes, coaches, and active communities. Each piece is crafted with technical precision, modern fits, and customizable details that bring your team identity to life. Shop their ready-to-wear performance gear online or in-store, or create custom designs made exclusively for your team. Visit www.encorecustom.com or stop by their headquarters at 891 4th Street in San Rafael, California, to see where performance meets design. Thank you, Neil and the Encore Custom team, for your support. We love you.
And thank you to our newest sponsor, the Social Club. That is the Social KLUB, a modern indoor playground in Sausalito for kids aged 0 to 7. It is designed for play, exploration, and creativity. By day, it's a beautifully curated play space where kids can burn energy and parents can relax. That sounds great if you have little kids. And after hours, it transforms into a hub for adult classes, workshops, and events, bringing the same sense of community to grown-ups too. This is co-founded by Tessa White, who is a big fan and now a sponsor of the podcast. Thank you to Tessa. And you can find the Social Club at 2650 Bridgeway in Sausalito, California. The Social Club is also available for rental for parties. You pay the rent, then there is the party, and the rest is gravy. The Run TMC podcast is also sponsored by the Hub in San Anselmo. With plenty of parking and new Tesla charging stations at Red Hill Shopping Center, the Hub is the go-to burger spot where locals come to dine, drink, socialize, and sponsor Run TMC podcast roundtables. While their 100% grass-fed burgers are divine, the menu also features healthy salads made with local produce, vegetarian and vegan options, and the best crispy chicken sandwich in Marin. Amen to that. With 8 craft beers and ciders on tap, plus hand-spun milkshakes, there is something for everyone. Big thank you again to Jerry and Rebecca, to Jake and Dexter Beers, and all of the Hub staff that welcome us to the Hub for good food and good company and above average podcasting. Thank you again to the Hub. Okay, it is time for the Coaches Roundtable. But first, a last note. The Marin County Free Throw Championship returns on January 25th. That is this coming Sunday at Archie Williams High School from 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. And all the proceeds from the event going to the needy in the community through the St. Vincent de Paul Society. There are competitions and prizes in several categories for individuals and teams, as well as a raffle. For more information, you can email St. Vincent de Paul at strita.edu or call 415-454-6420. Or just show up at Archie Williams on Sunday at 8:30 a.m. and make a splash. I sometimes feel hand motion, or if I'm picking up the mic or Dave's picking up the mic.
Yeah.
Okay. But we want to be free flowing, and like, it doesn't have to, we have a bunch of questions, but it can also be like, if we get going on a topic and you guys are just, kind of asking each other questions, that's great too. We're kind of trying to get a brain dump from, 3 great coaches and just have it be a fun conversation.
Okay.
Man, thank you guys.
All right. You guys good to go?
Yeah.
Go.
Okay.
All right, we're going. Welcome to the third Run TMC Coaches Roundtable. Exciting. Here we are. We're back at the Hub. We got 3 stellar coaches. I'm going to have you guys just introduce yourselves. And then in your introduction, why don't you give us your quick coaching bio? It's like I'm interviewing you, Mikey.
All right.
So walk me through your coaching resume. Just give us a quick, where you've been. Let's start with you, Mike.
All right. Mike Clagett. I'm currently varsity head coach at Archie Williams. Previously assistant at Branson with Demetrius and then Stevie Johnson. I coached CYO for 8 or 9 years, helped start up Star of the Sea, which is now a pretty big program in Southern Marin. Coached AAU as well with a friend of mine, Jomar. We had the County Bears going. I did that for 6 or 7 years. So I think this is year 14 coaching from that. I started right when I was 18.
That's awesome. And first year as a head coach, you're doing well so far.
Thank you. So far.
Beautiful. Coach Lav,
Dave,
tell us about yourself.
we're going way back. Okay, so started doing CYO in Oakland at St. Leo's School near Fenton's Ice Cream. Did that for 6 years.
It's a good ice cream place.
Went to Piedmont. Piedmont High School for 24 years. The last 16 as the head varsity coach. That was a lot of fun. Long run. Great time. Went to Cal Maritime NAIA school under Brendan Rooney, his first head coaching job for 1 year as an assistant. That was fun. And then did a favor for someone in San Francisco, ran Lowell High School for 1 year.
Yep.
That was different. They were our rivals. I went to Lincoln High in the city, but that was a good year. Then I was fortunate to get the job at Miramani, did that for 5. And now I'm in my second year at San Marin.
Excellent.
So these two, both Mikey and Coach Lav, for listeners of the podcast, this is their second run. And now we have the rookie, Coach Demetrius. Go ahead, D, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, Demetrius Roquemore. Been coaching for quite some time. I lose track of the years, but I started at City College, assistant for Harry Panazopoulos. Did a couple of years there, had some good runs. And then a good friend of mine, Ryan Russell, talked me into coming over and coaching girls with him at Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
Started on the freshman level and, just kind of worked my way up. Did that for 9 years. And COVID happened, took a little bit of a break, and then went over to Albany for 3 years. Learned a lot there, a place where I had to basically do everything: strength and conditioning coach, snack bar, trainer, set up the gym, fundraiser. Yeah. So I got my hands dirty there, and then ended up at Branson. So in a good space, been at Branson for 3 years and just trying to, maintain the level of expectation over there.
Awesome. I didn't realize that you were at City. Our good friend Dave Granucci, who we had on, played for Panazopoulos.
Yeah, I was there.
Had some great stories. Yeah.
Harry's a great guy.
You were on the staff?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Uh-huh.
That's really cool. Well, awesome. Duffy, I'm not going to have you introduce yourself.
Fair.
Firm but fair. But so we have 4, including Duffy, we have 4, arguably 4 of the top boys programs, with a nod to Redwood, not here, but we got Branson, San Marin, Archie, and Marin Catholic represented right here at the table. It's been a fun year. So let's talk about approaching the season. I asked this question on the last roundtable. So we're in January. We're in the middle of league. How do you guys approach the season? Do you look at it like it's 3 seasons? Like you got your preseason, you got your league, then you got your postseason? Or do you just look at it like it's one game at a time? And how do you want your players to approach that? Demetrius, why don't we start with you?
I split it up. I think we like to set goals. And so, we'll set it up by preseason. We even sometimes break that up by tournaments because we play in a lot of tournaments. And so we'll tend to break it up and then kind of go back and reflect on what we did well, things that we need to work on, and then move over, to league. And, league is only single robin. So every game is pretty much like a playoff game. And so we kind of get that experience there. Then the second part of that is going into, playoffs in the NCS. And then from there, if you're fortunate enough, in the NorCal. So, I like to break it up and just kind of set goals for these kids and give them something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's makes a lot of sense. Mikey?
I look at it as more, I guess, just breaking into 2, kind of pre-New Year and post-New Year.
Yeah.
Especially with the single round robin. League starts now, last few years, once the calendar year turns. But mathematically, it doesn't make sense because we have 8 league games, and I guess you can have up to
18,
17 or 16 non-league games.
Yeah.
But I look at the turn of the new year as kind of where we really want to get rolling, get ready for league. So preseason is just that. It's preseason. You want to win.
Sure.
But I try and get the different sparring matches, right? We played the Campos of the world, and kind of really methodical. And then we played like El Cerrito. El Cerrito really tried to speed us up and press us. So
right.
I think about it as preseason and then turn in the new year.
Makes sense. Coach Lav?
I'm more of a next game guy with a nod toward here comes league. But I'm kind of a game at a time guy.
Yeah.
Not cliche, just that's like the next opponent's the most important game.
Sure. That's so Brian Rooney, I think Brendan's brother, right? Cal State East Bay coach we had on who was great.
He's a great
he talked about just the next game is the most important game on our schedule and kind of take it one game at a time. And he doesn't want his players thinking one game is more important than the other. They're all, every game counts the same on your schedule.
Yes.
So that's a good way to do it.
Thank you, Dave. With the NCS and the new system with the max preps being kind of a crapshoot, like you don't know, you could have a really good season, then get a low seed, one division up. How do you go about setting goals for your team when it becomes pretty arbitrary what might happen at the very end of your season? So do you focus then on league goals? It's something I've struggled with.
I'll go. I think it's tough. Like with it, as I say, being kind of a computer, I've heard of teams trying to manipulate it, I guess, win or lose some games and set this up. Like Coach Lav said, it's one game at a time. We all want to win every game. We don't go into a game trying to lose, and it'll fall as it does once we get to NCS. It's above me, at least my brain power, thinking about it. What they're gonna do in mid-February. You just want to put yourself in a position to succeed and win, and stack some good wins and limit the bad losses, and hopefully you get rewarded. And you might not. I mean, you look at last year, there's teams who would have loved to get a higher seed in a lower division,
Right.
and ended up getting a 10 or 11 in a higher division. That's where I wish there was a little more human element to it involved. But again, it's out of all of our control. So at least for us, I don't put too much into it. You want to win enough games to qualify and then let it fall as it may.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Mikey on that one, because last year, as the season was getting close to the end, we're looking at, well, right now we could be anywhere from 39 to 51, and so who might we be playing? So I'm trying to get film on a million teams. It's like kind of lost focus on what was the most important thing, which was the next practice, and making sure we're doing what we need to do so we can win our next game. So I would never be one to dump a game to drop to Division 5, for instance. We're a D3 school, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to go, well, let's just lose the next two and get the 1 seed in D5. That is so contrary to, I think, how we're all wired.
Totally.
But it's weird. It's a perverse motivation of the system is kind of strange.
We've tried to change it forever.
Yeah.
With the NCS, Randy Besselo at university, and I put together, Randy really took the lead on it, but we put together a format kind of based on the CCS model. I think we discussed that before, presented it to the NCS. The commissioner really liked it, recommended it. Then the board of managers said, nah, we'll stay with competitive equity. And that CCS system works because it avoids first round blowouts. It gives buys to the top 4, double buy.
Okay.
Gives a buy to 5 through 8. And then you get the 13 through 16s playing each other. They got a chance to win a game.
Sure.
And then they get to the next level. So it just seems a little more logical.
Yeah.
But it ain't changing.
You made a comment about kind of approaching practices at this point in the season, like thinking about you got all these teams to scout. That's a great segue into so practices now, and I'm struggling with this. KK and I are struggling with this. Like we're playing a team coming up. We could give our kids a big scouting report, but honestly, the best thing for us is just to focus on us and what we're doing well, as opposed to trying to cater to what they're doing. I'm interested in how you guys are approaching that. Are you focused a lot on scouting right now? Mikey, I know you have a big game on Tuesday against a team we won't mention.
No, big one, Marin Catholic.
Marin Catholic.
They're not Lord Voldemort. We can say their name.
No,
yeah.
Careful.
It's a big one for sure. I don't know that this is in my first year head coaching.
So Duffy would like to know what specifically you're doing at practice right now. I'm kidding. No.
This is
Write it down.
Yeah, just write it down. Just write it down.
This is something it's still, again, this is my first year being a head coach, and I'm always learning and coming from an assistant role where I like to think I had a lot of, I guess, responsibility or say in game prep and scouting stuff with Stevie and Demetrius in my years at Branson. And now sliding over a seat and being the head coach and be like, do I want to spend an hour of my 2 hours worrying about they're running this flex action or yada yada. So the start of the year when you had more time, right? We're playing a couple of showcases, a couple of tournaments. I did more opponent prep, and we'll always do it. I don't want our kids to be surprised.
Sure.
But for the most part, I'd say it's at least 70% is worry about what we do, emphasize our things, our defensive principles, working on getting the shots we want out of either free flow action or sets in practice.
Yep. And
then when we do shell, and then when we do shoot around, usually when we can, the day of, we'll go over their sets and remind them of their tendencies, individual tendencies. But I'm leaning now recently more towards us more than them. I don't want the kids to be surprised, and we got a lot of stuff on video and huddle like everyone does, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm finding that I think it's more about making sure we do what we think will win us games more than pivoting to what another team will do. But I don't think there's a right answer.
Yeah. Demetrius, where are you on this?
I think we focus on a lot of what we're doing. I think defensively, we tend to just go over concepts.
Yeah.
So if you see a concept, you'll be familiar with it. And then, we do game day prep and stuff like that.
Sure.
But not spending too much time on other teams. I think, you can, as Mikey said, you can go watch Huddle and see what's going on. But I think we've played some pretty tough competition since I've been at Branson. And so, early on, you get to see different styles of play, different concepts. And so you learn those concepts early. So if you see them later in the season, you'll be a little bit more familiar with them than us just going over it for the first time.
Sure. Do you find that your kids respond better to personnel breakdown? Like, okay, this guy's right-handed, outside shooter versus they run, 5 out, flex action, whatever.
I think they respond to both equally. We got some pretty bright kids over there and they figure it out. I think as far as the personnel goes, all these kids know each other and they have the scouting report before I do. I've seen this kid play here or play there and he can do this and he can do that. And so, they all kind of pay attention to each other throughout the summer and the fall. And so they already know what kids can do. I think the actions are probably what we should spend the most of our time on.
Yeah.
Just making sure that that they communicate through the action and get the correct rotations.
Right.
Yeah. Practice for us is mostly doing the stuff that we want to do the best. And then we spend a lot of time in practice defending common actions. And if the next opponent runs certain stuff, for example, there was a team we played in our tournament that runs heavy Princeton stuff.
Yep.
So it was on the scout and then some film clips from the night before when they played somebody else. And then during our shoot around, we walked through point screen away, point over the top, chin action, dribble at back doors, just for a couple minutes. Everybody understood it, how we're going to defend it. Then we went and played. And the nice thing about that night was the opponent was not able to score on a single Princeton action. That was kind of cool. I don't think we got to invent the wheel with the guys, and they want to be better at what we do, but they do need, and we do provide clips of film of individuals and then stuff that they like to do. I like to try to take away the other team's baseline out of bounds actions as best as possible. Little information is good on that and then go. So it's mostly about what we do. And that's what the guys want. Mostly about what we do.
This is a question for all of you. Oh, good.
You don't always have to defer, but how do you, when you are scouting players, do you have a system or terminology for the closeout on, say, an elite shooter versus a good shooter versus someone we're kind of sagging way off, letting him shoot? We had a guest on the podcast recently, or Dave did, of just describing his college coach would say ABC. So it's like, an A closeout is a Steph Curry closeout. You're really trying to not let them even catch the ball in shooting position. A B is okay, we're closing out, pretty hard. But Moses Moody. Anyway, I hadn't thought about it that way before, but wondering if that's something that any of you have a way of communicating to your guys.
Yeah. Well, you got something?
No, you go ahead.
Simple. Rondo, Curry, Kobe. Kobe could do everything. Curry's a catch and shoot artist who can also drive it. Rondo is a short closeout. Yep. He's a driver. We want him to shoot. That's a guy where you might go under a ball screen on a guy like that to keep from getting downhill.
Yep.
I've always done, the utmost respect, we'll say green light shooter, shooter from anywhere, early shot clock, crazy shots. Wherever you have no catch, sometimes we'll go shooter, green light shooter. Shooter is shooter driver, solid high school shooter. I'll go shooter with a question mark. They will shoot it. I don't know how many they make it. We'll adjust it. They make 1 or 2 or 3, and then or non-shooter. There's certain kids who either don't shoot it and don't shoot well, or just simply don't shoot threes in high school basketball. So we usually, when we do scout, we'll have one of those 4 things.
So kind of a similar vein style. I think the league in particular, and really across Northern California, the NCS, the style is an interesting topic right now. Teams are playing at a lot of pace. Marin Catholic's a great example. The Marin Catholic University game was a great example, right? 96-95 high school game. How are you guys altering your team's style at this point in the season? Are you guys wanting to stay the same, or are you changing your style based on who you're playing or health of your players or fatigue or whatever?
We're not changing our style. We're just sticking to what we do and really just trying to lock in on the defensive end. I think your team style kind of changes and morphs on its own as kids continue to improve.
Yeah.
And so, those are the things that you look for. Are they improving within what we do? And that kind of changes your style, but it still sticks and holds your identity at the same time.
Yeah.
But I don't see us going and trying to change what we do. I think it'll confuse the kids.
How about your rotation? Do you find that your rotation is changing a lot? Or are you kind of playing the same guys generally?
My rotation has changed a lot. I mean, I got 4 freshmen that had to figure it out. And so now that they're starting to figure it out, they're getting a little bit more playing time.
Yeah.
And, for us as coaches, figuring out what they do well and being able to put them in those positions to do what they do best.
Yeah.
And so, they're able to give some of the older guys a break now. But I think for my team in general, having a completely different team than we anticipated, we're constantly changing.
Sure.
Right? People are growing into new roles, and having guys that were, expecting to play 5 minutes, play 10, the guys that were playing 10, playing 20 now, I think they're kind of growing into those minutes and not just being out there and having blank stats.
Makes sense.
Stick to what we do with a caveat. When we played Marin Catholic last week, we worked really hard Saturday and Monday before on our transition defense, tried our best to take away what they do best and make them play in a half court, and I think it worked.
You held them to under 100 points. What was it, 58?
It was a 7-point game with 33 seconds to go. We turned them over and then in the paint, and then we turned it right back over. But, my point is this. I'm not so naive that I'm going to go in every game and say, we're doing this, because it's our week. If the other team has something they do great, which MC does, we got to figure out a way to try to combat that.
That makes sense.
So for that particular opponent, it worked.
We try and prep to be able to play slow, medium, and fast.
Yeah.
I think part of that is summer schedule and preseason schedule, getting reps. I think if you look at the teams who have league success and section success and state success, historically, at least my last 5 or 6 years go to high school, you got to kind of know how to do all of them. You got to be able to play slow and win a game, win the last 2 minutes in the half court. You got to be able to contain the fast teams and also score fast. And you got to be able to have that medium pace where you're pushing it. It's not there, pull it out and run something. So I'm with D. I think we are who we are. I think it'd be a dangerous game to switch your style right now. Ideally, it's more to me about being prepared for the style of the game, because we could have all the plans in the world and the game rolls out. We expect to be fast paced and slow paced. You don't want to be shocked. So we prepped, especially we called it camp or training camp, our first 3 weeks before games.
Yeah.
We had days where we played everything was fast, everything was slow, and we had our medium days when we push it, wasn't there, run some offense. And I think that, I hope that sets us up for success as we get to different types of games.
I like that.
Love it. Okay, let's talk about it's game day. What do you do as a coach to get ready on game day? How do you prepare?
I try and sleep the night before.
Okay, good luck.
Depends who we're playing. Try and get a good night's sleep. Luckily for me, I work at Archie on campus. So when I'm not busy, I try and get away and get some extra film time in, get some clips cut up to send out to the guys. We have school's out at 3:35 over there. And we'll try and get a shoot around or a walkthrough depending on gym availability. Luckily for us, we have a small and big gym. Not everyone has that. And now in the league, it's a little harder because we'll be hosting games right after school, whether freshman or JV. And if maybe the JV girls are playing, they might actually be practicing. But ideally, get a shoot around in after school, sometimes longer than others. Sometimes we just get some shots up. Other times we'll hammer in game plan stuff, defensive and offensive stuff, review, like Coach said, about their X's and O's one more time, keep it fresh in their brain, and then head home and head to the game.
Always a game day shoot around. For me personally, I like to lift weights on big game day and clear my mind. Have a good breakfast, go for a walk with my beautiful wife, and then you're like a caged cat for a while.
Yeah.
Go to school. We try to do our shoot around about 2 hours before tip off if it's at home, because we do have a small gym. And in that shoot around, the scouts up, they've had the scout the night before. They all know it. The shoot around, that's their time. unless we're walking through some specific stuff, like I said in our tournament,
Yep.
the Princeton stuff. But I want them to have their time. And I generally hang out in the main gym during shoot around, let the assistants do it because they don't need to hear me all that time. If we're on the road, we have to do our shoot around a little bit earlier, right after school, and then head to the game. But it's kind of a good, solid routine. The boys seem to like it. And I used to do shoot arounds earlier in the day, but then there's a gap between.
Yeah.
The guys really like shoot in the gym, come up to our gym, lock in, play.
Me personally, I watch film game day, night before, and just kind of play things over in my head and prepare for what I may see. We do shoot around probably about the same as Chris, 2 hours before game time, and really focus on the main things that we may see in terms of actions, baseline out of bounds plays, go over again the personnel of what, main players may do or may not do, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty light, let the guys kind of have their space and be able to kind of relax a little bit and prepare for the game.
Do you guys text your teams game day motivational stuff or lock in or whatever, or do you let the kids kind of do their own? Sure, they have their own text chat group.
They definitely have their own.
The coach lists.
Yeah.
Chat.
Lord knows what they're saying in their own group.
Sure they're singing your praises loud.
All the
they love you. But like, what do you guys? How do you guys approach that?
We send scout video, send the game plan night before, sometimes morning of, mostly the night before.
Yeah.
And then that's it. I think this generation, they don't care for the motivational text as is.
Yeah.
It's kind of on them to find their own motivation, especially once you get to league. I think there's enough juice right there.
Totally.
They don't need me to try and fire them up too much via text at least.
Yeah.
So I let them have their own time, their own space. Like you said, I'm sure they got their own jokes and stuff going. And then once we get to our pregame, talk and we're on the whiteboard and going over the plan, and that's when we'll try and really lock in and say a couple last things and get rolling.
Yeah, I don't really text too many motivational things at all. I may put something every now and then, but not on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a thought for the day like a million coaches do on the practice plan. And I always give them the practice plan a few hours before practice.
Okay.
And, some coaches say, why would you want your guys to know what you're going to do? Then they'll cruise. Well, no.
Yeah.
I think it's good they know what they're facing that day. And I ask for input the night before from the captains, like, what do we need to work on tomorrow? And usually they are spot on.
That's great.
And it's great. So night before is always film of some clips of the opponent before practice, get on the floor, and some film of us, because we do a lot of self-scouting, mainly at the players' request. Like, we need to see ourselves more. So we'll do a lot of clips of, I stole this from Justin LeBaugh at City College. Good offense, good defense, offensive adjustment, defensive adjustment, maybe 4 each.
Oh.
Just some reminders like, this is what we do really well. This is exactly what we want. This is what we need to do a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And then the thought for the day, we discuss it. It's always some tidbit from some smart person who's smarter than me with a little wisdom. And then we talk about it. And you'll be amazed that kids don't know politics and civics. I don't know what they're teaching in schools, but you act like, who was this person? The quote, I don't know. Never heard that person before. Really? You never heard of that person before?
Yeah.
It's stunning to me, but that's a whole other discussion.
I was surprised a year or so ago in the Archie locker room. There's a ball signed by John Wooden.
Oh, there is.
And none of the guys knew who John Wooden was.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So, and of course, because those deep thoughts that you're sharing are probably 1 out of 3. It's probably a John Wooden one.
Well, there's always. I had one from Jay Wright the other day, and they knew Jay Wright. Most of the guys knew Jay Wright, which is good. I think it was everybody has a different role, but everybody has the same status, and that's a good one. And so it allowed us to discuss individuals and their value to the team. That kind of generated a good discussion. I like that.
To Mikey's point about this generation not really being motivated by like a text message, what do you think is a good way to motivate them? I'll give the example that the most motivated I've seen Joe Hammond play all year was the last game against San Rafael. guarding Luke Shapiro, the best one-on-one defense he's played all year.
Yeah.
And he said, Luke Shapiro is my best buddy.
Yeah.
I wanted to perform well against my best buddy. It's like, okay, right. How can we replicate that?
Yeah. That's good.
I think, like you said, it's just, I think now more than ever have that teenage boy mask on of social status and appearance. And I think a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them are motivated by how they're viewed by their peers. And like that, Joe and Luke are best friends. And I'm not surprised by that, And so like when you get to league, it's a little easier. Non-league, as coaches, I'm sure you guys agree, we try and gas kids up to make sure they're ready. I'm like, that's the best kids you guys see all year.
Yeah.
No one gets to know that, but try and sell them on the point. But I think they're really motivated by their own peers than our voices. I know we motivate them as coaches, but I think looking good and playing hard and winning games in front of a crowd, a league crowd, and going against kids now that they're seniors that they battled in a 5th grade CYO championship. I think that motivates them more than anything. And that's what makes league basketball great. And the same thing in high school, all over the country, same thing in college. The non-league stuff is cool, but when you get to league, you really got a little more passion, no matter who it is.
We're going to get to that in 1 second. I have a question about that league. Demetrius, how do you handle post-game? Do you, whether win or loss, do you have a post-game talk and, share your thoughts, or do you just say, guys, let's get out of here and let's deal with this tomorrow?
We definitely have a post-game talk. I like to share a couple of good things that kids have done, stay positive with them, and then also allow them to reflect on the things that we need to work on. And so we go over stats at the end and try to hash out what we did well, what we didn't do well.
Yeah.
What a particular player or players did well that game, and, what they need to do to continue to improve. So, for example, the last game against Marin, against Chris's team, Caden played really well. And so we highlighted that, after turning the ball over against Archie in a key moment,
right,
he was able to bounce back. And so I think watching him throughout the week, going back to the point of motivation, he had plans to go to the Duke game, right? And we had practice at that time. And so, I said, hey, you got the game? He said, no, I'm staying at practice. I'm going to finish it out.
Interesting.
And I'll get to the game when I get to the game. I said, okay, cool. We're on to something here. And so from there, turned around the next game and performed well. And so I think that was a huge highlight for us because he could have really put his head down and stayed down. It was a big game against Archie. He turned it over in a key moment, and he was able to bounce back by being aggressive. And so I think those kind of things that we highlight post-game and, everything else as far as X's and O's, we'll get to it the next day.
Right.
Depending on, the type of win or loss it is, kids are pretty much emotionally burnt out. And so
that's where my question came from. That's all great stuff. I struggle with this. And Tony Butler, Sam Marin coach, good friend, we've talked about this a lot. He's moved to end of the game, post-game, he doesn't say much anymore. He used to. And all of us, I think, have this, look, we've got a lot in our head about what just happened, particularly a loss.
Right.
And we want to talk about it. And I just wonder, are the kids in a headspace to be receptive to that? I don't know, Lav, what are your thoughts on post-game talks?
Celebrate all victories. Highlight great effort. Win or lose.
Yep.
Don't go to where we think something critical happened that was a mistake, because sometimes the film will prove us wrong.
Right.
And, I was on the way down here, I was listening to Mike Neighbors on the Hardwood Hustle podcast.
Great.
He's so good.
He's great. Great coach.
And that was one of the questions I just asked him as I was pulling in the parking lot post-game. And he said, at Arkansas, I think I went in post-game one time. He said, the reason is I went in one time after a loss, I guess at UW, LC Plum, and he was barking at the team about this, and this went wrong. But then he saw the film. He said, I was wrong. So I think after a loss, highlight the great efforts. We did that the other night. Branson game. There's a 5-point game with 4:28 to go. We picked up a technical foul, went from 5 to 10.
Yeah.
We were playing really well. So they were devastated. The guys were down. So rather than talk about the game, I just highlighted effort by a couple of guys. Everybody clapped them up and said, okay, back tomorrow. Let's get to work. We're fine. And then Friday, we had one of our best practices of the year. And that's because the captains, before they left the locker room at Dominican, I said, what do we do tomorrow? Coach, we run. We run. Day before game, we don't care. We get up and down. That's how we play. And we had a great practice. And then yesterday, of course, our opponent wasn't great yesterday, but
nice
we did
win.
what we wanted to do.
Yep.
Played great.
So
Yep.
that was cool.
Post game,
Again, as the
first
rookie
year head coach.
Still learning, man. I think
Always learning.
always. I think we're 17 games in. I'm sure the first 5 or 6 was a lot more talking than the last 10, after the game. But win or lose, I try and stay positive. I don't think no good is going to come out as screaming at them or belittling them, especially amongst their peers. And like you guys both said, schematically, we're wrong. Like it's okay to be wrong. And the kids, I try to make sure I'm accountable when we are.
Yeah.
I'll review what we thought our keys were offensively, defensively overall. If we covered them, that's part of why we win, right? We review game plan stuff and win or lose. Like, we want to do this on certain players. This is why it worked. We didn't do a good job of this. This is why I didn't. Reflect on it. I asked the captain to say a couple words if they think I'm a senior heavy team. So a lot of the captains is loose term. It's mostly the seniors who play a lot to reflect and get up out of there, but nothing long, usually 10 minutes max. I'll say my piece. I'll let the assistant coaches say their piece, get some word from the captain, positive or negative. And I just tell them, take the time, win or lose, walk out there with their heads high. The kids want to win them all.
Yep.
We're not undefeated, and I don't think anyone will be. I don't think anyone's left undefeated around here. So if you need 30 minutes, take 30 minutes, walk in here with your head high, reflect on it as you need. And we have a until next day rule. So you win a big game, great, enjoy it. 8, 9 a.m. next day we show up, it's over. It doesn't matter. It matters for our resume, for rankings and record overall, but it doesn't matter towards the next practice. We can't let the good days create a bad practice and vice versa. We want to have a good practice and a good game plan the next day. So get out of there positive, try and shorten it up. And really, I think that I tell them their words amongst their peers mean more than ours, especially after games.
Yeah. I like the concept of just flushing it, a few words, few positive words, next steps, flush it. We're moving on.
Yeah.
To your point though, Mikey, I'd like to get your input on bringing out the voice of your players or your captains. I mean, there are some players that just have it innately. A couple of years ago, Owen Bugas, in a number of situations, essentially became the coach. He just became the voice, and everyone was going to listen to him because he had that intensity, and you could tell it came from a deep desire to win and to motivate his teammates. But a lot of other players, I mean, these are 17, 18-year-olds, and are there ways that you can nudge your players to be leaders in moments like that? Like kind of give a suggestion for, something they might say post game? Is that something you do? I haven't done that, but I'm just thinking out loud.
I think it's a different era. I mean, when I was a kid, I think the leaders were more vocal, and I'm 31, so this was 15 years ago, I guess. But it's something I got hired in May, and I've been harping on the seniors every day about it. Again, we're senior heavy. I have 9 seniors. 8 returning seniors who played last year and all played like some minutes, and just I'm on them, and I pick different kids different days. We have our Grady, Measy, Brian, Ephraim are 4 returning starters and leaders. But Devin, a kid comes off the bench. Duco's a senior who took a year off. August Block. I'm on all of them to talk because the younger kids care more about that, and whether they want to admit it or not. It means more when it comes from a peer and a teammate and someone, whether they want to admit they look up to him or not in this era, someone you look up to, whether it's statistically or pay style or socially at school or school functions or whatever. So I've really been trying to yank that out of them since May, and it's still a work in progress. I think every coach would want the 5 out of 5 great vocal leaders, and you don't get that. And it's okay to not be vocal. But find a way to lead, whether it's an effort or maybe just one-on-one talking to someone who you're kind of mentoring for the next year. But it's on us as coaches to hold them accountable because it's less and less common. I think even in school, like you were saying, I think these kids aren't as vocal in general. Part of it's the phones and the technology. But me and Chad and Burke, the assistants, we've been really on them about, no, you guys talk. You hear enough of us all day. So we're really trying to yank it out of them. Yeah. And it kind of... It weeds itself out. The vocal leaders kind of by now found themselves, and then we lean on them as we get through game plans and practices going forwards.
That's great. One of my favorite questions to always ask. So now we're in game. We've talked about pregame. We talked about postgame. How do you guys handle timeouts? How do you try to come up with 1 or 2 things to impart on your kids? Do you do what I do and blurt out 17 things that all get lost and the most unproductive 60 seconds in history? How do you guys handle timeouts? Demetrius,
I
you
think,
go first.
for me, I let the kids speak first. You're out there on the floor, you see what you see. And so from there, I'll chime in on what I see and just kind of make adjustments from there. But I think you have to be very specific and short because their attention span, is not going to be where it needs to be when you have coaches screaming at them, parents screaming at them, referees telling them stuff,
Right.
peers telling them stuff. And so to kind of let them talk through it first and then just give them, one set of instructions on both ends of the floor for them to go out there and figure out. Because with 5 guys out there, you give them more than 2 or 3 things, somebody's going to forget something.
Totally.
Right? Somebody's going to forget something. So just kind of handling it in that fashion and really encouraging them to talk on the floor. I tend to use a lot of free throws as opportunities to get the extra conversations in,
Right.
On what we're going to do next. But, it's like we're playing Archie and you're on the opposite end of the floor. You can't hear me. So it doesn't matter what I say. Like
Exactly.
you guys, I can say something, but if something changes, you have to take the initiative to figure it out.
Right.
Right. And so, we've even gone to the extent of getting a whiteboard now and holding that up. But, still when we play in those big games, you can't hear us.
Yeah.
You just can't. And so at some point, back to that conversation about having somebody that's going to hold them accountable, somebody's got to do it on both ends of the floor. And so we've been able to appoint, different players to do different things, whether it's, being a couple of guys, the defensive captains is not necessarily starters, but you guys are in charge of talking on defense, whether you're in the game or on the bench.
Right.
Guys that are doing it on the offensive end, got a couple guys that are weight room captains. And so, just encouraging them a little bit more and it's starting to work a little bit. We're talking a little bit more.
That's great.
Yeah, that's good. I like that, Coach. One thing on offense, one thing on defense. That's it. What are you guys seeing out there? What do you want to run right now? Game a couple weeks ago, early fourth quarter, game's kind of close. I said to the point guard, I'm putting the game in your hands right now. What do you want to run? Really empowering. And he chose correctly. And then I'm always telling him whose possession arrow it is and how many timeouts we have left, especially when the game gets late. So I'll tell him, we got 2 left. Those are mine. But if you're getting pressed out of this timeout, go tell the ref, if it gets to 4, we're calling the timeout. Okay? So little things like that help. But one thing offense, one thing defense, they're going to, like you said, Coach, they're going to forget everything else.
Right.
And to try to get them calm, right? A 30 is no good. They need to change that rule. 30-second timeouts are kind of worthless. Well, unless the other team calls it, that's a good time to rest.
Sure.
And that's kind of how we work them. But little reminders, especially, it's really big on possession arrow. The reason being, we do not burn a timeout on a tie ball in the first quarter, ever, ever, ever. Like, just go get the ball. It's the first quarter. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Right.
Their ball, dead ball, we set our D. Not burning a timeout there. That's kind of, to me, that's kind of false hustle.
Yes.
Do you try and predict or guess what another team might do out of a timeout? I mean, sometimes it's obvious, like they call a timeout, they're behind, they're going to do full court pressure, but sometimes it's not. And you could guess and then spend 15 seconds telling your team what you think they're going to do, and they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And now you burned a little capital with them, and you've wasted the timeout. Is that something that you guys do? And if so, in what circumstance would you do that?
I think I just kind of prepare them for both. So, if there's a timeout and they were in man before, just be ready for zone if you see it.
Mm-hmm.
What are your options in the zone? If they do go zone, they shoot it back to me, and that's how we kind of approach it. But I wouldn't spend an entire timeout trying to figure out what the other team is doing because it's unpredictable.
Yeah, it's part of our game prep. What kind of press do they run? Do they have a press package? If they're here, we go this. If they're there, we do this. Just a reminder, recognize what they're in and react accordingly so we're not spending too much time on it. And as far as man zone change, I haven't seen too much of that this year. Saw more of it last year. Coaches aren't coming out of timeouts and changing their defense as much, at least in my experience this year. I don't know what you guys are seeing.
Seen much of it either.
But, that's all part of preparing your team. Like Coach Demetrius said, preparing your team for what's coming. If they call a timeout on an out-of-bounds play, it's their ball. Might remind them, hey, this is their favorite action. They're going to run a stagger for number 5 right now.
Yep.
So switch it and maybe you steal it.
Timeouts for us, like most of them was hammered. I mean, hit the nail with the hammer.
Hit the nail on the head.
Hit the nail on the head. Thank you.
I'm a professional
I
podcaster,
know
Mike.
you are. They hammered it. I think for me, it's really about reminding them time and score. That's good. First quarter, 4 minutes left, not so much, but reminding them time and score. Knowing the situation, like you said, knowing the timeouts.
How many fouls?
We're one away from the bonus.
Yeah.
They're not.
Right.
Reminding them how the refs are calling it, right, as they go. And then, like you said, I want to draw from them. They're on the court. They get to play. We don't have the luxury to be out there anymore. We just point and yell and direct as best as we can. Ask what they see, what they feel is working. I'll obviously give my input and agree or disagree. But I think it's most about time and score. I try and keep it positive. You don't want them leaving a huddle, and I'm sure I've done it. Like, God, this guy's an idiot. What's he talking about? Why is he being an a-hole or whatever? You know, I'm trying to keep positive because I think that positive energy coming back onto the court, whether it was a positive or negative momentum timeout, it's usually one or the other. It's rarely neutral, you know. Leave the timeout in a positive note. Okay, we're prepared. Know what we're setting up down here. Know we're going to run next time we get the ball, or vice versa. And then, like you guys said, end of game. By this time of year, you have a lot of film. You know tendencies, right? We all like to think we have an idea what they'll run. They need a 3, what they run early, so they might run a 4. And that's what's pref. We can tell a million times in the huddle if they're not prepared and walk through and practices before, it's just words, like you guys both said. So in the game, there's so much going on, especially you get to league and playoff games, crowd and noise and all that. All that is done before the game. You know, the preparation is really where that's.
So when you talked about momentum timeouts, this is one thing. KK is great at this. My instinct when I was a head coach was, okay, they went on a 10-0 run. Let's call timeout. Let's regroup. We're fine. And there have been a couple times this year where teams have gone on runs, and I'd be like, timeout. She's like, no, wait. And then we do something positive. Now we got time.
Yeah.
Because she wants that. So, but obviously there's a risk to that.
For
that
sure.
10-0 run could become 22-0 run.
Yeah.
But she's showing some faith in our team, but she wants that positive thing to happen so that we come back to the bench feeling a little bit better. That was, I really like that.
I learned, might have been 2021 year, maybe 22. Anyways, we were playing Campo at Gridley. I was at Branson still. And they kept calling timeouts, right? They did something good, you know? And then we naturally in the huddle, like, you got to do this. And I'm like, shit, I get why teams do it. I've seen it done. I know why teams do it. Yeah. In that moment, I was like, God, I get it. One day I'm going to be a head coach. I got to make sure you get 5 of them, 1 or 2 of them, and be like, you don't want to interrupt your run. It's a fine line, you know, when you're on a run. But sometimes you do something well. You want them to come time out. Let's talk, refresh, emphasize what's working, and keep it going. And there's no right answer. You've done it at the wrong time when you thought it was right. And it's always easy to say after the fact. Well, I'd like to try and keep 1 or 2 of my timeouts to be positive momentum. We're on a run.
Right.
But we get a really great stop, set up our defense and go. So I think it carries weight when they come to the huddle excited and then leave the huddle excited and get back out there.
What would you say the percentage of time you're calling a set, calling a play, or just letting your guys go?
I think we probably play out of the flow maybe at least 75% of the game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, team scouts you, your first or second, action is going to be well defended.
Sure.
And so how do you play after that? And so I think the biggest thing with a group of young guys that I have is getting them to understand that if the first action or second action breaks down, you don't have to shoot the ball.
Right. We can run some more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they're starting to understand that now, but it's taking some time. And so I think that's just the biggest thing there is just, getting them to play out of flow, get up and down in transition a lot more. But, everybody's going to defend whatever plays you think you have,
right?
Especially at this point in the season. And so, just being able to understand different concepts of how we want to play, I think is the most important thing because you spend a lot of time doing that.
Yeah, I like that answer, Coach D. I got a simple rule. You get a stop, you go. And they have options. They know what they're supposed to do for the most part. I don't like to make a lot of play calls. You get scored on, we're probably going to call something. Now, good example yesterday, free flowing, got a stop, coming down the court, decided they decided they could get the shot they wanted. So we ran a little horns action, got a slip to the basket for a layup. It was great. I didn't call it. Players called it. And I'm all about empowering the team to make those decisions.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be a control freak as a coach. I want these guys to feel like Coach trusts us. We trust each other. We can play, especially off a stop. Like you guys go and you know what to do. So that's kind of, does that answer the question?
Absolutely. That's great.
It's a kind of a related question. I think your team is the best that I've seen in last couple of years at the back door. And I know some of those back doors are like actually planned out of, it's part of your set, but some of them seem like they're just like a read. And tell me a little bit about teaching the back door, and then also to Demetrius and Mikey. Kids these days don't do it on their own. I think it's really rare that they see it and cut.
Yeah.
And I just wonder why that is. Is that just a lot of, just one-on-one working with a trainer?
Well, they don't play enough.
Yeah.
Everything is a cone workout, and there's no live person there.
Yeah.
So
you got to, players need to learn how to make decisions. And this is where I have a problem with trainers. And if anybody listening is a trainer, I'm not completely dissing you, but I'm telling you, all this stuff
Partially
on air
dissing it.
does not compute to a game at our level at all, especially in our league. So, for example, instead of doing ball handling drills, how about just making a pick and roll drill where you're playing 2-on-2 and the defense can do whatever they want. They can hedge, switch, drop, trap. And now the two guys on offense have to read the situation and play out of it. Add a third guy, add a fourth guy. But we try to play a lot of 5-on-5. So backdoor cuts, we do have some calls. We do have calls that set up the backdoor. You got to run some action, and then it looks like the same action. Then you got a backdoor cut. But you also teach your guys how to cut when the ball's in certain spots. And some guys are really, really good at it. Whether it's, we call it a Peyton cut, a baseline cut from the weak side, Gary Payton cut, or a 45 cut, which is all the rage in the NBA now.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So just teach them and rep it. And we do that in all our shooting drills. We practice our shooting drills to get the shots we want, and we incorporate cuts out of those. So does it work?
I mean, it's all sounds great talking about it, and it doesn't always go over. We have rules within our free flow offense of when and where cutters are coming from. Baseline drives versus wing drives versus middle drives, and how they're defending, if their X-man is low or not, where they're cutting from. But I think a lot of it is emphasizing them how important and unselfish it is to be a good cutter, because you don't often get the ball.
Totally.
Especially in high school, as you watch high level college, they make the right pass right time. Oftentimes, especially you might not get it, but you're creating a gap, double gap, or even a triple gap, or you're shifting the defense, or you're packing the defense. Now they got to help us go hard and open up the weak side. Am I really trying to plot it? And we do that on film. I'm like, hey, this cut got us this three, not because you got the ball, but you collapsed the backside and allowed him to lift and get the three. So we really trying to plot it on film. And I think we'd all agree as coaches, we wish we had more cuts. We know the kids don't always get them, or they don't always hit them. And it's just on, I think, applauding it and showing them, like, it's just like setting a good screen. There's no stat for it often. I guess they track, in the high level, they track screen assists. But a good cut is the same way. A really good cut is invaluable to your flow on offense and shrinking the defense and making them play in the blender.
Well, I think, totally agree with you guys that they don't play enough. And Demetrius, it's like one of the reasons we started this podcast was like, we want people to play more pickup like we did growing up.
Yeah.
Right. That was one of our missions. But second thing is, I think there's this bias, particularly on the boys' side, to just, everybody wants to shoot threes. Mm-hmm. So they don't cut back door. They'd rather float out 25 feet from the basket.
And they think the
shoot
best
threes.
way to get the ball is coming to it, which I'm sure drives you all crazy.
Exactly. It's just cut.
It's up to us to set up screening actions and cutting actions to do that. Yeah. And we celebrate them in practice.
Yeah.
Example, in practice, up and down the court, a catch and shoot three is 5 points. We want guys to do that.
Yeah.
An uncontested layup is worth 4. We want guys to do that. It works. All of a sudden, in 3 minutes, it scores 25-22 because we got 4 catch and shoot threes. And it computed yesterday. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do and wanting to do.
Oh, okay? Good habits.
I'm going to zone you. That's right. They know that.
Go ahead.
It's getting weird. It's getting a lot of scouting going on. Okay. I want to nerd out a little bit. Favorite drill in practice? Demetrius, since we haven't had you on, what's your favorite drill in practice?
Favorite drill?
I know it's like picking your favorite child. Like you probably like 20 of them, but
I don't know, man. I think I like a good transition drill. Get them up and down a little bit.
Yeah.
Good transition drill, probably my favorite.
I like that too.
Oh, right now, I try to remember what I said last time I was on it. I think I said 2-man passing, but right now, recently, Any advantage drills. I mean, that's the goal, trying to play out of an advantage, whether it's 5-on-4 or the old 3-on-2, 2-on-1.
Yeah.
Or, kind of the forced scramble drill out of shell.
Decision making.
Any advantage drill,
Yeah.
I'm really liking right now because that's the goal. We want to, anything we're doing, any action we're running, we're trying to create an advantage and find the 2-on-1 and execute the 2-on-1. So offensively, any advantage drill. And defensively, I'd nothing better than this a rebounding drill. I mean, we're not calling fouls.
Yep.
You got to box out. You got to hit people. Don't hurt each other. And charge drill, all that's involved. But I think offensively, any advantage drill, and defensively, no matter how you set it up, like a physical gauntlet rebounding drill. It's tough this time of year because you're in the flow of games, but training camp, we did it every other day. And
Brady was talking about the Rodman drill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Laugh.
Drill we call progression. It's progressive fast break. You start with a free throw.
2-on-1.
2-on-1 down. Pick up 2 guys, 3-on-2. Pick up 2 guys, 4-on-3, 5-on-4, 5-on-5. And sometimes we finish with 3 5-on-5 trips. And when the ball goes through the hoop, you don't have to take it out of bounds. Take it right through the net. You're already and go.
Yeah.
Now we got to sprint back on D. That's one thing we did to prepare for you guys, coaches. That is a great drill. The guys love it. They like to do it every day. When I asked the captains to run a practice a couple of weeks ago, I said, tomorrow's captain's practice. You guys come up with the stuff you want to run. That was the first thing they chose. That's a good one. And then another one, which kind of dovetails with it. I love this. Stop, score, stop. You get a stop, you get a score, and you get a stop. That's a point.
Okay.
But if you get a stop and a score and you don't get a stop, it's back to even. And sometimes that'll go for 10 minutes before someone can get a stop, score, stop. The other day, first 3 trips was a stop, score, stop. That's a point. We played first team to get 3. It took about 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Competitive as heck.
5-on-5 full court.
Yes, full court. And it was great. The guys loved that. That really replicates the game.
That's great. That's great. All right. Be remiss if we didn't ask about Mikey. You were an assistant for Demetrius. Now you're a head coach.
Yeah.
Discuss that progression from moving over a chair to changing schools.
You just played each other last week.
Played each other
What?
in a great game.
Do you want me to touch on the transition from assistant to head coach or the game first? What first?
Whatever you want. You're the head
The
coach.
transition, I mean, it was as expected. I knew it was going to be hard. And of course, it's harder than I thought hard would be,
Oh, yeah.
It's everything. I mean, it's exciting. It's rewarding. It's fulfilling. It's frustrating. It's upsetting. It's everything. I mean, you get so many emotions, but I'm so happy I did it. I had 4 really good full seasons at Branson. I have nothing but like love and respect for D, for every admin there. I coached with Stevie Johnson before that. And it was tough. Like I was hesitant to do it. Those people there who I talked to, I was hesitant to do it. I felt like in the end, it was be a mistake not to take it. I work at the school. It's a historically very good basketball school. We have a good crop of talent. Our core group of guys, I've actually coached them 4th and 5th grade all the way up through CYO and AAU. So I'm very happy I did it. I have no regrets and I still miss everyone over at Branson. And then I guess the game, it was fun, man. It's like, I have so much respect for D as a peer and working with them and collaborating as also as a mentor, like learning from them and learning day to day from and coaching with them. And it was one of those games. It's like people were asking me, it must have felt great for you. It's not about me. I really don't look at it like that. It's about our kids. I don't think Archie had beaten Branson, at least since I was at Branson. So 21-22 season, and the year before was the COVID year. They didn't win that, so I don't know. I actually haven't looked it up yet. I was happy for the kids, man. They hadn't beaten Branson as a team, and they were obviously ecstatic after. And for me, it was bittersweet because the Branson kids look sad, and I mean, it sucks to lose, and I know all of them very closely, and I know D and Brandon Quick, the assistant coach, very well. It was one of those games. You guys were there. I mean, it was a very good MCAL basketball game. It was back and forth. Game of runs, but short runs. There wasn't no crazy plus 15 runs. We were going back and forth, exchanging the lead. And it was one of those where someone had to lose. And I'm sure they feel like they could have won it, done the right thing as they should. And we were a couple plays away from losing as well.
Yep.
So it was just awesome, man. I have so much respect for him and Branson. And it was a cool opportunity. And obviously it's easier to have fun when you win the game. I know that.
So Demetrius, what's it like having your assistant be a head coach on the sideline? Is that he's now in your coaching tree?
That's funny. That's funny. No, I mean, he knows it. He was ready for it. Hate to see him go. I think we were on to building something special there, but
Yeah.
Similar to myself when I went on to Albany and I didn't understand all the hats that you had to wear, he needed to learn that part.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the biggest thing that he can take away from it. Just being able to now be on the inside of it and have to deal with the parents and have to deal with the administration and have to, all the everyday tasks that you got to do
That aren't coaching basketball.
that aren't coaching basketball,
Yeah.
right? That you don't get paid
Uh-huh.
for, right? And so, I think that's the part that he needed to learn. But the basketball part, he's got that, right? He's got that.
Sure.
It's just sitting in that seat is a little bit different, than sitting in that second seat. So, but happy for him, happy for those guys. Measy was one of our guys as well, and so it's a bittersweet moment, but. I wouldn't have wanted to lose anybody else. Wouldn't want to lose anybody else.
Totally.
And we definitely could see each other again.
I
We
know.
both make playoffs.
This
It's
year
not.
is
I'm told our guys there's no finality to it. We won that game. It's like
Yeah.
we said, enjoy it till midnight, and we had to go to practice the next day and prepare for this weekend. So,
all right. Yeah, go ahead, Duff.
I think we're getting close to closing it out. But here's a question wasn't on the list, but we've done in the
Curveball.
player. Well, yeah, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
So in the player roundtables, we've asked the players to give us an avatar for themselves as a player. So Evan Brewster said Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. So can we have coaching avatars?
This is a coach time question.
Oh, it is.
Oh yeah, but that's
Oh, okay.
Now.
Oh, you can see how closely I reviewed the script. Good job, Dave.
You were in the ER.
Saving lives versus writing out questions podcast. Okay, coaching avatar.
Coaching, I have somebody I really look up to, or somebody who is a mentor to me.
Someone you would equate you coach similar to.
Oh boy. So comparisons, Jim Harbaugh said we don't like to compare. Okay, I'm not comparing anybody, but I will say the person I've stolen more stuff from is Steve Kerr. And I think we're stupid if we don't, because while their offense is obviously complex, it's so free flowing and there's so much movement and the ball moves. And that's what we're all trying to do. That's what we're trying move players, move the ball. Stolen a ton of stuff that the Warriors do out of timeouts. Doesn't always work. People say you can't run what the NBA players do. Yes, you can if you keep it really simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Out of bounds plays, whatever. But the thing I like about Kerr is he empowers his players to make plays and play with a certain amount of freedom. And I think that's, for me, that works.
Great, love it.
I guess NBA wise, I always admired Pop. I mean,
Yeah.
just flexibility. You want to play 3 out, 2 in, slow. He can do it. You want to play like they did in 2013? I don't know, 2010 when they
TD with Duncan and
when they won the last one, when they were Patty Mills and were flowing like against Miami. That's the adaptability and the flexibility. I hope I'm never a coach that tries to make the team play one way,
Mm-hmm.
And college wise, it's everyone. I find more success stealing and adapting concepts from college than the pros. And like Lav said, not that the pros doesn't work. I'll steal X's and O's and blobs and stuff. But college wise, I always like Jay Wright, man. Always like Jay Wright. Bill Self is awesome. I read up on a bunch of Coach K books and stuff. I've been doing a lot of Kelvin Sampson stuff recently too.
great,
Just
amazing.
defensive. Well, he was talking about, I watched a video yesterday. I'm sure you guys get it if you're on internet stuff. Like my thing is all random coaching tidbits,
Yep.
When Kelvin Sampson talking about how hard it is for some coaches to hold players accountable and build in excuses for them. And that's something I saw yesterday, but it circled back. I saw it a few months ago, and I really try and harp on that. Like if I'm not hard on my best players, it doesn't look like I can be hard on anybody. So I try and be a high for everybody, but recently a lot of Kelvin Sampson stuff.
Nice.
For me, I think I got a bunch of mentors that I had in high school, and I just kind of roll with those guys. So my high school coach, Matthew Prophet, I lean heavily on him, and then Daryl Barber, who was at Sacred Heart for a while.
Yeah.
Milo Atherton for a while as well. So I lean on those guys for a lot of my stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful. All right, we're gonna wrap up. Coach D, I want to ask you one quick question. You had a very successful run as a girls coach, state titles. You were awesome. Compare and contrast coaching girls versus boys.
I think it's just the athleticism. Now the women's game is, you're starting to see more and more athletic girls, but just to the athleticism, I would probably say girls are going to do exactly what you tell them to do for the most part. Boys are going to, but it's a gift and a curse, because if you're in a situation where they have to alter whatever you told them to do, they're not going to do it. And when you ask them why, they're going to say, because that's not what you told me to do. Right? Where boys, it's a complete opposite. You got to hammer it to them, and it's, and for them, it's the adventurous part of it. They're going to drift off, 3 or 4 of them at a time. So I think that's the biggest difference.
Well, it's funny when you said earlier, you made some comment like, when the first action doesn't work, I got to remind my guys, don't just shoot the ball.
Well, you don't have to shoot it right away,
I'm
coach?
like, can you, I have the exact opposite. Like when the first action doesn't work, I have to tell people, hey guys, remember to shoot the ball.
Right.
Right. They're all very unselfish. Yeah. And sometimes it's confidence, or sometimes it's having a feel, whatever it is. But okay. Interesting. Awesome. Well, we've reached crunch time. Duffy leaked one of the crunch time questions, but that's okay.
Come on, Duff.
It's all right. I still love you, Duffy.
We can do the player avatar, right?
We could. I don't want Mikey's player avatar. He's gone by me too many times. Okay, Coach Lav. See if this changes from the last time I asked you. Favorite gym?
Got to be Keysar Pavilion.
Oh, I was going to say
Great
that.
answer.
Good answer.
Yep. No doubt.
History. It's a great
Coach
floor.
high school games there? Or as a fan? Like,
Played.
we play. That's so cool.
We had to play there we got to play there quite a bit.
Yeah.
And when Lincoln, my high school in the city, we had a break-in over the Christmas holidays, and somebody turned on the fire hose, flooded the floor started to buckle. So we practiced and played at Keysar a lot. It was a great gym. They're refurbishing it. Yeah. It'll be something else when it's done.
Sorry to interrupt. First one came to my head, non-local, because of the history there. And I used to go to the SF Pro-Am as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
From Marin City, we take buses to the SF Pro-Am all the time.
Yeah.
And then getting to coach, it was just CYO, but Coach CYO, we used to play in the SF Fire Department holiday CYO tournament every year. And it's such a cool venue, man. It's nothing like it. And it's wonderful. That's a great answer.
Mikey, favorite gym?
Well, I sound biased now, but I truly love the Archie gym growing up in Marin when it was great. I know it's biased. Growing up
Such
here.
a homer.
I knew he was going to say that.
It's a great basketball gym. It's a great basketball gym. Right? It's not even leaking. We passed the roof.
It's a great gym.
Come on, don't dig shit, man.
All right.
But side note, and again, I love Branson gym, but the Branson small gym. I love the Branson small gym. I spent many, many, many hours, and I lived down the street by myself or in there with players. The Branson small, it's cold. It's kind of dungeon feeling.
Kind of dank.
It's kind of dank in there, but the 2 hoops are old hoops. I love the Branson small gym. And the last one I'd say is Old Hamilton. I loved Old Hamilton. I don't even know if they hoop in there anymore, but Old Hamilton was one of my favorites. They should play in their men's league, play in their CYO, coach in there.
You like the old school. I like it.
I like the old school.
All right, D, what's your favorite gym?
I'm going to go with the gym in the city, Portola Park and Rec. Grew up playing there. Everybody from the city who could play played there. It's where I kind of learned how to play. And so, the Park and Rec directors would have a wall, and every time, this is old school, but you get your name in the newspaper, you get an article, it goes on the wall. And so as a kid, you aspired to get your name on that wall, get your picture on that wall. And so, a lot of D1 guys would come back from college and play there in the summer. And it was just, at that time, a hotbed for just San Francisco basketball.
Yeah, that's great.
Coach D, they did that at Sunset Playground.
Yeah, Sunset,
Put photos up and articles up. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
I love it.
To find those old things.
Well, we're going to do the shortest crunch time yet because Coach D's got to go get his daughter to a CYO game.
Oh, yeah. You
got one last crunch time question. Duffy, you picked it.
All right, I'm going to scroll down here, and now I actually am reading the script.
Who's your producer?
All right, I'm going to go with the best player you've ever coached.
Oh, man.
You two might have the same answer. You two might have the same answer.
You can go first. I can defer.
No, I have a different answer. I'm going to go with Imari Thomas, girl, Sacred Heart.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a toss-up between her and Gianna Summers, but Imari averaged a double-double from freshman year to senior year.
That's
so
incredible.
She go on and play at the next level?
She went to Cincinnati and then finished at UCLA.
Awesome.
So playing overseas now, but I've not seen anything like that before in my life. Yeah.
Just dominated.
Great answer.
At both ends of the floor.
I I answered this one last time, and the answer was Jace Butler and TT Barr. Easy answer. Great players, phenomenal. I want to pivot it and say more underrated, I guess, in my time at Branson, not to exclude any current Archie kids, but
Sure.
two names come to mind. George Gale, who now plays at WashU D3. So underrated, so unselfish. Sometimes probably to a fault. Maybe his coaches to a fault his senior year.
Yep.
Phenomenal player. Could have been D1 if he wanted to. He had low D1 interest. Loved WashU. He still loves it there. And then Joaquin Aguilian was phenomenal
Very
for us.
underrated.
I liked him.
Very
Phenomenal.
He's at McAllister, right?
He's at
Yeah.
McAllister starting, killing it right. He's playing very well. Sophomore year starting. He's a kid. His senior year in MCAL, he probably would have been the A player on every other team. But our
Absolutely.
team never complained, never batted an eye, could shoot the ball, could create for us, would defend the opposing guard's point of attack. I give him crap because he wasn't the greatest rebounder by choice, not by ability. He wanted to leak out to get dunks. But those two come to mind. JCTG were phenomenal players. I'm very close to them. Love them both. But
Of course.
George and Joaquin, two of the most underrated players I've ever been around by far.
Great. Flav?
Eric Flato, Piedmont, class of 04, went on to Yale, played for Coach Jones, 3-year starter,
Great.
captain, all Ivy League as a junior and a senior. Incredible player, great person.
Love it. Guys, we could talk a lot more. We're going to have you back on, but this was awesome. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Can't wait to watch you guys battle each other,
Thank you, fellas.
and appreciate everything that you do for Marin Hoops. Thank
All
you.
right, guys, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Good job.
Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey, dude, you too must be from Marin."